I decided we are going to make some chicken together today. So I tend to prep this when I remember to prep this. And typically I use a grill, but I actually just sold my grill. So I will not be using a grill. I will actually be using an air fryer to cook my chicken breast today. So that is what we are going to do. Now, sometimes I like to get really fancy when it comes to prepping my chicken, but other times I honestly don't care. And I'm just trying to do the bare minimum. And the bare minimum is kind of what we're going to do today. So if you are short on time, this is how we do it. And the big thing to kind of keep in mind in terms of going after something like chicken breast is it is a lean protein source. So if you are trying to decrease body fat, if you are trying to build muscle, there's a difference between eating protein and eating a lean protein source. So lean protein sources, it is predominantly protein and the carb and fat content is like zero. Whereas there's other protein sources, think of things like beef or things like eggs or things like peanut butter, where there are components of fat and protein. So, sorry, not fat and protein. There's components of, words. There's additional components, get it together, Colleen, of fat and sometimes, like for peanut butter, as an example, carbs. So if you are trying to really just focus in on protein, going after a lean source, chicken breast, shrimp, egg whites, like that's what's gonna do it for you. So let's get ready to go. I didn't prep any of this for you, so we are really just kind of gonna raw dog it. Oh my gosh. You get me very real, very raw today. All right, so I have the chicken breast and I picked it up from Costco. This has been hanging out in my freezer for, I couldn't even tell you for how long. I will go to Costco and just like get a bunch of shit, put it in my freezer. I have an extra freezer in my laundry room and everything just kind of hangs out there until I realize, girlfriend, you got to get back to the grocery store. Now, the perk to doing this on the grill is you can do it all at once. It's definitely not ideal to do this with the air fryer, but you know what? Sometimes we're not in ideal situations and girls got to do what a girl's got to do. So here's what we got. So first, cutting the chicken breast out. And before I do that, if you look at the nutrition label on the back, you can see for 4 ounces, and 4 ounces is about the size of my palm. 4 ounces, there's 1 gram of fat, 0 carb, 24 grams of protein. Like that is why you see so many people who are shredded or people that are just like really dialed into their nutrition. Like they fucking love chicken. And it's not necessarily because they love how chicken tastes, but it is just such an easy way to hit protein without it taking away from your fats or from your carbs. I hated chicken. I used to think chicken is disgusting. And then when I realized this is actually a really easy and relatively, like in comparison to other forms of lean protein, this is a really affordable way to be able to hit protein quickly. I changed my tune. And I think, you know, that's just one of those things. I have friends who are like, I hate chicken. I hate how it tastes. Da, 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 da. I really want abs. And I'm just like, well, bitch, you know, you can either complain about the chicken or you can stop complaining about not having the abs that you are not putting in the effort for. So, you know, we all have choices, but chicken is definitely a really easy one for me. And it doesn't take a whole lot. Like I'll measure this out for you. Or if you hang out with me on Instagram, you know, I'm always measuring and like showing stuff over there. But a little bit of this is just one of the easiest ways to knock out your protein on a given day. So for me, that's just one of those things that matters more than, I would prefer to eat something else. And that's just a game that we have to play occasionally. What matters more? The taste, the food, or, the performance, the aesthetic, the energy, yada, yada, yada. It's a constant game of, what matters more. All right. So we got all the chicken tucked away and then all the chicken juice. Good golly, what's going to happen? This is always kind of like up in the air. I don't always know what's going to happen. Maybe the juices will spill. Maybe it'll be fine. Let's see what happens. All right. All right, we made it safely to the sink. That's a win. Little washy-washy. All right. So now let's season these suckers up. What do we got? All right, I think we're going to go with some Frank's hot sauce. And I love Frank's because, it's delicious and there's nothing in it from a macro standpoint. What is actually in this? Ingredients: cayenne, red peppers, distilled vinegar, water, salt, garlic powder. Okay. All right. I use my teeth for like everything. I always have. I don't know about you. I was that little girl who was like always sucking on her hair and then using her teeth to open everything up. All right. So we're just going to give it a little pour, little heavy pour. Okay. And then got our air fryer. And I can probably fit, 2-3 pieces in at a time. So this is going to be a process, but the way I'll kind of set this up is I'll pop some pieces in. It'll go for about 20 minutes. It's going to cook perfectly. And I'll just be, working on my computer in the meantime and switching stuff in and out. That's kind of how I go about this. The reason I like the air fryer better than the oven, because let's be real, I could just put everything into the oven right now and it would be, more efficient, but it's not going to cook as smoothly as I know it can cook in the air fryer. And I don't know about you, but for some reason, I just always fuck up chicken in the oven. I don't know what it is, but I can crush it on the grill and I can crush it in the air fryer, but there's just something about the oven where I in my 33 years of existence, I haven't figured it out yet. All right, so here's what we got so you can see it. 3 pieces. It'll go in for 20 minutes. I'm just going to turn it on. I click air fry. I click start. And it's good to go. I'm going to do a little more washy-washy. All right, so that's just, how it goes down. That's how I do it. That's how I get all of the chicken ready these days. So I'm always able to hit my protein. I think for a lot of people, the challenge isn't so much, how do I do this on one day? Like, how do I hit my protein macro one day? And, one day is good, but we're looking for consistency. So a really great way to be consistent is by batching your stuff out, prepping the chicken for the week. I also like using low-fat Greek yogurt as a high protein source in terms of not, taking away from carb or fat intake. That's a really big staple for me as well. I will use protein powders. I'll show you a couple that I have right now. I do like Legion powders. So I use these guys. I try not to use powders unless I'm traveling. But again, it's a really easy way to just knock out your protein without taking away from your fat or carbs. And when I'm on social media, that's one of the things that I notice a lot. I've been seeing these reels from women making comments like, I need to stop eating the protein. It's making me fat. Eating one type of food, it doesn't make you fat. It doesn't make you gain weight. When you unintentionally eat in a calorie surplus, that's when you start to gain weight. And if you're picking protein sources like beef, where typically the fat content is up there, as is the protein content, but the fat content is up there too, it's calorically more dense than something like chicken breast. And that's where people can get into trouble if they're not tracking their macros. So I'll leave it at that. If you have any questions about how the chicken comes out, cooking your chicken, air fryer, protein, any of that stuff in general, hit me up. And I think we're going to continue to do this. This is my first live on the channel, and I didn't really know how it was going to go down. So if you like this, if you want to see more of this, please, please, please drop a comment and subscribe to the channel so you can get more of whatever whatever this is. Okay, bye.